Honda's CEO has now confirmed what many riders feared. 6 proven motorcycles are gone forever, and Honda has no intention of replacing them. These weren't problem bikes, they weren't recalled, they weren't failures on the road. Honda simply ended them, closed the door, and moved on. Tonight, we'll lay out the 6 models Honda permanently discontinued, the exact years they ended, and why this decision changes the future for riders who still believe a motorcycle should be built to cross states, not just turn heads. Stick with me to the end, because the last bike on this list explains exactly where long-distance riding stands today, and why this shift matters more than most people realize. Number 6. Honda CTX 1300. For riders who spent decades choosing machines for balance rather than bravado, this one arrived with quiet confidence. It never begged for attention at rallies, and never pretended to be something it was not. Instead, it rolled onto the road offering comfort, stability, and an engine lineage that serious touring riders immediately recognized. That restraint was both its strength and its curse, because restraint does not always sell in a market driven by image. The CTX was conceived during a moment when manufacturers believed experience would finally outweigh styling theatrics. Lower seat height, relaxed reach, and a planted feel at parking lot speeds made it approachable for riders who had already logged serious miles. Long days in the saddle felt easier, especially for those who valued calm handling over aggressive posture. It delivered torque smoothly, without drama, and encouraged a steady pace rather than constant throttle play. Where it stumbled was identity. Cruiser riders accustomed to chrome presence and visual heritage did not see themselves in its modern lines. Touring riders, meanwhile, questioned its stripped silhouette and limited wind protection. It lived between categories without defenders, even though its real-world manners often exceeded expectations. Riders who spent time on it discovered a machine that behaved predictably in crosswinds, stayed composed on rough pavement, and never felt nervous under load. That competence came from thoughtful engineering rather than trend chasing. The riding position reduced knee strain. Shaft drive eliminated routine maintenance headaches during ownership. These details mattered to riders who planned trips, not photo shoots. Yet showroom conversations rarely reached that depth. And many potential buyers never looked past first impressions. Sales reflected that disconnect. Without a clear audience, it struggled to find advocates inside dealerships. The bike did not fit neatly into sales scripts built around lifestyle branding. Over time, inventory sat longer, enthusiasm cooled, and updates never arrived. Honda did not attempt a redesign or repositioning. Instead, the platform was allowed to fade quietly, signaling a larger shift away from niche comfort. Focused machines. For experienced riders, that silence was telling. The CTX represented a philosophy rooted in miles rather than moments. It rewarded patience and punished nothing. Owners often described it as honest transportation, a term rarely used in modern marketing but deeply understood by those who ride for the road itself. Its disappearance marked another step away from that mindset. What remains is a used market full of machines that still perform exactly as intended. Many examples continue to rack up mileage with minimal complaint, reinforcing the idea that failure here was never mechanical, it was cultural. The industry moved toward louder statements and faster turnover, leaving balanced platforms behind. Riders who value longevity recognized that shift immediately. This model's story serves as an early warning. When manufacturers lose confidence in riders who prioritize comfort and reliability, the catalog changes quickly. Machines like this do not get successors, they get footnotes. And once that happens, an entire segment quietly disappears from showrooms, even if demand never truly vanished. In its final specification, the CTX delivered approximately 83 horsepower from a 1,261 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled V4 engine, producing about 78 pound-feet of torque, carried a wet weight near 745 pounds, offered a seat height of roughly 29.1 inches, and entered the market officially with a starting price of $15,999. What followed showed that this wasn't a one-off misread, but the start of a much larger retreat. Number 5. Honda CB 1100. For riders who grew up trusting air-cooled engines to carry them across states, this motorcycle felt like a handshake from the past. It did not chase screens, ride modes, or digital distractions. It showed up with steel, fins, and the quiet confidence of something built to run, not perform for an audience. The CB 1100 existed in a narrow window, when manufacturers briefly believed simplicity could survive modern rules. Its presence was deliberate and restrained. Paint was deep, proportions were honest, and nothing about it felt rushed. Riders who had spent years maintaining their own machines recognized the intent immediately. This was a bike meant to be lived with, not updated every season. On the road, it rewarded smooth inputs and patience. Power came on evenly, without spikes or surprises. The chassis stayed composed through sweepers and felt planted at highway speed. Long rides were easy on the body, especially for riders who valued neutral ergonomics over aggressive lean. It carried itself with balance that newer machines often sacrifice for numbers. Where the CB 1100 struggled was not performance, but timing. Emissions standards tightened. Development costs rose. Air-cooled platforms became expensive to certify and harder to justify for limited volume sales. Younger buyers, raised on liquid cooling and electronics, rarely gave it a second look. They saw weight and tradition, where older riders saw durability. That split mattered. Loyal riders admired the bike, but many already owned something similar. New riders wanted technology and sharper styling. The result was quiet showrooms and cautious dealers. Without volume, there was no incentive to redesign the engine or modernize the platform. Honda made a calculation, and this motorcycle landed on the wrong side of it. What stings for experienced riders is how well it actually did its job. The engine was understressed and smooth. Maintenance was straightforward. Reliability followed the reputation that made the brand famous decades earlier. Many owners still report thousands of trouble-free miles with nothing more than routine care. That kind of record does not show up on spec sheets. This model became a reminder that the market does not always reward competence. It rewards novelty, pricing leverage, and compliance efficiency. Once air-cooled engines fell out of favor with regulators, bikes like this had little room to survive. The decision was not emotional, it was financial and strategic. Looking back, the CB 1100 marks the end of an era more clearly than any announcement ever could. It represented the last serious attempt to sell a modern, air-cooled standard to riders who valued mechanical honesty. When production ended, it quietly closed the door on that approach, leaving a gap that has never truly been filled. Owners who kept these machines often speak about them with calm respect rather than excitement. They remember cold starts, long fuel stops, and steady returns home without drama. That kind of memory does not fade quickly, even when catalogs move on and factories decide. Experience no longer justifies continuation for riders who measure miles honestly. The CB 1100 produced approximately 88 horsepower from an 1140 cubic centimeter air-cooled inline-4 engine, delivering about 67 pound-feet of torque. Carried a wet weight of roughly 540 pounds, offered a seat height near 30.7 inches, and entered the market with a starting price of $9,999. That quiet exit opened the door for an even more painful loss among distance-focused riders. If this breakdown is hitting home, take a second to like the video so it reaches riders who care about real machines. Subscribe for weekly, no-spin motorcycle analysis, and share your experience below so stories stay grounded in miles. Number 4. Honda VFR 1200F. Some motorcycles are built for speed, others for show, and a few are built for riders who measure days in miles instead of minutes. This one belonged to that last group. It never shouted for attention and never relied on gimmicks. It existed for riders who wanted to leave before sunrise, ride through changing weather, and arrive somewhere far away without feeling beaten down. The design philosophy behind this machine came from an era when sport touring meant balance rather than compromise. It carried real weight, both physically and philosophically. The frame felt solid underneath you. The controls felt deliberate, and nothing about it encouraged reckless behavior. It rewarded smooth throttle use and steady hands, especially over long distances where consistency matters more than quick bursts of excitement. What set it apart immediately was the engine character. Power delivery was calm and confident, not abrupt. Passing on 2-lane highways felt effortless, even when loaded. At highway speed, the bike settled into a composed rhythm that encouraged riders to keep going. Wind protection was thoughtfully shaped, reducing fatigue without isolating the rider completely from the road. Ergonomics played a major role in its appeal. The riding position leaned slightly forward, but never forced weight onto wrists. Legs rested naturally, allowing circulation during extended rides. Riders who spent full days in the saddle often commented on how fresh they still felt at the end. This machine understood endurance in a way many modern bikes seem to overlook. Despite those strengths, the market around it shifted quickly. Adventure-style motorcycles began pulling buyers away. Feature-heavy touring machines filled showrooms with screens and modes. Buyers started comparing spec lists instead of ride quality. In that environment, this bike struggled to explain itself in a few sentences on a sales floor. It was not a failure of engineering. It was a failure of timing. Riders who appreciated it often already owned something similar. Newer riders gravitated toward lighter machines or technology-packed alternatives. Without volume, updates slowed, marketing faded, and the platform became vulnerable. Eventually, it was retired quietly, without ceremony. For riders who experienced it, the loss felt personal. This bike represented a middle ground that no longer exists. It proved that long-distance comfort and controlled performance could coexist without turning into a luxury barge. Many owners still speak about it with respect, remembering how it handled heavy rain, long nights, and endless highway stretches without complaint. Its disappearance marked another step away from motorcycles built for sustained use. The industry moved toward faster cycles, lighter builds, and constant updates. Machines designed to last through decades of ownership no longer fit that model. This one became a casualty of that change, even though it never stopped doing exactly what it was built to do. Looking back, the lesson is clear. When categories shrink and buyers change habits, even well-executed motorcycles can be left behind. This machine did not lose relevance on the road. It lost relevance in boardrooms focused on trends and margins. Riders who value substance over spectacle noticed that shift immediately. The bike delivered approximately 170 horsepower from a 1,237 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled V4 engine producing around 95 pound-feet of torque. Used dual front disc brakes with a single rear disc supported by an anti-lock braking system. Carried a wet weight near 590 pounds. Offered a seat height of about 32.1 inches. And entered the market with a starting price of $15,999. Side note for riders who still plan trips by distance. The gear and accessories I trust on long rides are linked in the description. Alright, let's keep moving. Number 3. Honda VFR 1200X Cross Tourer. Some motorcycles earn trust not through promises, but through the way they behave when conditions turn ugly. This one was built for riders who spend more time watching weather maps than polishing chrome. It carried itself with the confidence of a machine designed to cross states, not pose for brochures. From the first mile, the Cross Tourer made its priorities clear. Stability mattered more than spectacle. Weight was not hidden or apologized for because it served a purpose. On the highway, that mass translated into calm tracking. resistance to crosswinds, and confidence under load. Riders who have logged serious miles recognize that feeling immediately. The Cross Tourer was never trying to compete with lightweight adventure machines pretending to be dirt bikes. It was honest about its mission. This was a road-focused touring platform with upright ergonomics and long-distance intent. Shaft drive reduced maintenance worries, especially for riders who travel far from home. Suspension tuning favored composure over aggression, soaking up broken pavement without drama. Those traits mattered to riders who value finishing the ride as much as starting it. Where the Cross Tourer struggled was perception. As the market shifted toward lighter frames and aggressive styling, weight became a talking point instead of an asset. Dealers found it difficult to explain why heavier could be better. Many buyers never rode it long enough to understand what the engineering delivered. Marketing departments pushed images of rugged trails and standing riders, even though most owners stayed on pavement. That disconnect diluted its message. For experienced riders, the appeal was obvious. The Cross Tourer felt unflappable at speed, steady in poor conditions, and predictable when loaded with gear. Long days did not punish the body, and the bike encouraged measured progress rather than haste. These qualities do not photograph well, but they matter deeply once miles accumulate. As emissions standards tightened and global platforms consolidated, this motorcycle became expensive to justify. Low sales volume made further development unlikely. Honda chose to focus resources elsewhere, leaving this platform without a future. Its exit was quiet, but the impact was felt by riders who rely on dependable touring machines. The Cross Tourer represented a bridge between traditional touring and modern adventure trends. When that bridge collapsed, options narrowed for riders seeking comfort and torque without excess complexity. Its legacy now lives on through owners who continue to ride them as intended. These machines remain reminders that practicality often loses to perception in modern motorcycling. Riders who value torque over theatrics often gravitate toward machines like this later in life, when comfort and predictability outweigh novelty. The Cross Tourer answered that need quietly. It asked for commitment at low speeds, but repaid that effort with stability that inspired trust. Those who adapted found a partner capable of crossing states without fatigue, drama, or constant adjustment, reinforcing the idea that not every capable motorcycle needs to chase fashion to earn respect. Experience teaches which qualities matter when the road stretches far beyond a single afternoon ride, and weather, fatigue, and distance begin sorting machines quickly apart. The Cross Tourer was powered by a 1,237 cubic centimeter liquid, cooled V4, producing roughly 127 horsepower and about 93 pound-feet of torque, carried a wet weight near 611 pounds, offered a seat height of approximately 33.5 inches, and entered the market with a starting price of $15,899. That disappearance narrowed the field further, leaving only the most trusted touring platforms standing. Number 2. Honda ST 1300. There are motorcycles that earn loyalty quietly, without marketing noise or visual drama, simply by showing up every time they are asked. This one became known among long-distance riders as a machine that never flinched. It did not promise excitement, it promised arrival, and for decades that promise mattered more than anything else. This platform was built in an era when touring motorcycles were designed around endurance first. Every component felt deliberate. The fairing offered real protection without excess bulk. The riding position kept weight balanced and relaxed, allowing hours to pass without discomfort. Riders who crossed state lines regularly understood the value of that balance immediately. On the highway, the ST felt planted and calm. Crosswinds barely nudged it. Loaded saddlebags did not upset its manners. It tracked straight, held speed effortlessly, and encouraged riders to keep moving even when fatigue started creeping in. Many owners describe the experience as confidence-building rather than thrilling, and that distinction explains its following. What set it apart was consistency over time. This motorcycle did not change character as miles accumulated. Engines regularly surpassed expectations with routine maintenance. Controls remained predictable. The chassis aged gracefully. Riders who depended on it for serious travel trusted it in ways that are difficult to measure on spec sheets. That trust created a loyal community, but it also masked a problem. While owners kept riding, the market around them shifted. Touring buyers began, chasing technology, lighter platforms, and crossover designs. Adventure-style machines pulled attention away. Feature-heavy flagships reset expectations. The ST remained exactly what it was, and that became a liability in sales meetings. Honda faced tightening emissions rules and rising development costs. Updating an older platform required investment without guaranteed return. Sales volume did not justify a full redesign. Instead of evolving the concept, Honda chose to step away entirely. The decision came without fanfare, leaving riders to realize there would be no direct replacement. For many, that absence felt like abandonment. This motorcycle had carried riders through weather, long nights, and thousands of uninterrupted miles. It represented a philosophy built on durability and trust rather than constant novelty. Its disappearance marked the end of a category that valued staying power above all else. The ST was never flashy, but it was deeply respected. Riders planned trips around it. Some measured years of life by the miles logged on its odometer. That relationship does not transfer easily to newer machines focused on software updates and design refresh cycles. Once gone, it left a hole that remains noticeable. Today, examples continue running strong, often with owners reluctant to let them go. They represent a time when manufacturers believed riders would keep motorcycles for the long haul. That belief has faded. Platforms now turn faster, and loyalty is expected to reset with each generation. This motorcycle stands as proof that another approach once worked very well. The lesson here is not about nostalgia, it is about priorities. When companies stop building for riders who value consistency, the industry changes fundamentally. Machines like this become history, even if their usefulness never declined. For riders who still measure success by miles completed, rather than features acquired, that shift remains difficult to accept. In its final specification, the ST delivered approximately 117 horsepower from a 1,261 cubic centimeter liquid, cooled V4 engine producing about 86 pound-feet of torque, carried a wet weight close to 730 pounds, offered an adjustable seat height ranging from roughly 31.1 to 31.9 inches, and entered the market with a starting price of $15,499. Number 1. Honda Gold Wing F6C. Some motorcycles do not ease their way into history. They arrive with weight, presence, and intention, then leave behind a clear dividing line between what came before and what followed. This one did exactly that. It was never meant to blend quietly into a lineup or satisfy a focus group. It existed to prove a point about power, balance, and mechanical confidence in an era already drifting away from those values. The idea behind this machine was bold. Take a flat 6 touring heart, remove the excess, and let the engineering speak for itself. The result felt muscular without being crude, refined without being delicate. Riders noticed immediately how planted it felt once rolling, how the low center of gravity erased its size at speed, and how effortlessly it carried momentum down long stretches of highway. What separated it from traditional cruisers was the absence of vibration and strain. Throttle response came on smooth and steady, building speed without drama. Long rides felt less like endurance tests and more like controlled progress. Riders who had grown tired of constant mechanical feedback found relief here. This motorcycle did not demand attention. It simply delivered motion. Visually, it confused some buyers. It did not wear full touring bodywork, yet it carried touring mass. It did not follow cruiser styling conventions, yet it offered cruiser posture. That in-between identity became both its signature and its weakness. Riders who understood it appreciated the honesty. Those shopping by category struggled to place it. Market trends were already shifting. Efficiency targets tightened. Smaller engines gained favor. Corporate planning began prioritizing platforms that could scale globally with minimal adaptation. A large flat-six cruiser without fairings or luggage did not fit neatly into that future. Even though owners praised its reliability and smoothness, the business case grew thin. For experienced riders, the loss felt symbolic. This motorcycle represented a willingness to build something uncompromising. It trusted riders to understand why smooth torque and balance mattered more than appearances. When it disappeared, it signaled that such trust was no longer central to planning decisions. What remains today is a reputation that continues to grow quietly among riders who understand balance. Owners say it still feels modern on the road, handles weight better than many newer machines, and never sounds stressed. Those traits age well beyond trends. It proved touring heritage can exist without excess, showing comfort needs no isolation and power needs no aggression. The industry moved on, but the lessons stayed. Bold engineering faded, leaving an absence riders still feel today deeply felt. The bike produced approximately 118 horsepower from an 1832 cubic centimeter liquid, cooled flat-six engine delivering about 102 pound-feet of torque, carried a wet weight near 750 pounds, offered a seat height of roughly 28.8 inches, and entered the market with a starting price of $17,999. Long after production ends, the road remembers what actually worked. These 6 motorcycles earned their reputations 1 mile at a time. If one of these bikes was part of your riding history, leave a comment and share what it meant to you. If this kind of honest breakdown matters, like the video and subscribe. This channel exists for riders who still measure motorcycles by miles, not trends.